Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to day 7, or actually day 8, but the 7th round of Tata Steel 2022. Today we've got a lot of things that are going on. First of all, why am I in a suit? Best dressed man ever in the history of chess recaps. It's because actually I was out and I met Rey Enigma, the Spanish sensation. He's in town in New York, and we're going to make some content together. And that's why I'm dressed the way I am, and I figured I would keep it through this recap. Also, this recap is sponsored by the wonderful people over at G Fuel, who have sponsored your boy for like the last 7 months. They brought me that super awesome fridge. My favorite flavor is blue ice. You can check out all their stuff. There's a link in the description. If you use code Gotham, you get a nice discount. So we're gonna get into the big drama show of round number 7, which began with this game. This is the starting position and the ending position of the game between Anish Giri and Daniil Dubov. Actually, if you watched it live, the move is d4. And then this is actually the official game. There are no moves. That is because, as the story goes, Daniil Dubov, someone in his inner circle, apparently tested positive for the coronavirus. The tournament organizing body requested that he wear a mask at his game. He tested negative on a rapid or an at-home test, and I apologize if my information is about an hour late. That is the final information that I know. So he tested negative on a home test, but they wanted the result of a PCR test, which they wouldn't get until the end of the day. They asked him to wear a mask. He refused. He did not show up to the game. The game ends in a forfeit win for Anish Giri. After the round, Sergei Karyakin also went on Twitter and said, I kind of agree. They should have just played the game on a rest day. They shouldn't have had the game go on at all if they were waiting on a PCR result. I also will never wear a mask when I play a game of chess. That is what Sergei said. You are free to discuss and battle it out in the comments section. I'm just reporting the facts to you. And the next game that I would like to show you is from the Challengers section as always, which is Polina Shuvalova versus Max Warmerdam. This one, a fun one. We have a Rossolimo Sicilian, and black plays the system of e6, knight e7, blocking in both bishops, but attempting to take on c6 back with the knight. That is the entire purpose of playing the system. And now white goes like this and completely changes their approach. White is like, I'm actually not going to take here at all. I'm going to bring my bishop back to e2 because you threatened me with recapturing with the knight. The entire purpose of playing the Rossolimo is to take and put a pawn there for black, damaging the structure. But when you do something like this and delay your own stupid development by playing knight c6, knight g6, what the heck is this, right? You're trying to build a trident of 2 horses here or something? But this has been played. This has been played, and what white does now is goes for c4, e4, kind of known as the Maroczy or Maroczy. I don't listen every time I try to say that word. People who speak the language always criticize me, but basically, you prevent black from playing the move d5. Black, in the meantime, is like fantastic. I never wanted to play d5 anyway. You're trash. I don't like you. I don't think Max said that to Polina, but, you know, this is what black does. Black's like, all right, I'm just going to develop around my position. Now, here, many moves have been played. According to my database, this move has never happened. So here, white has played a lot of stuff like queen d2, maybe knight b3 to try to push for c5. Knight b5 to try to put the knight on d6 and get one of the bishops, right, in a trade. Stockfish really likes this move. This move has never been played. Now, queen b8. This absurd move is trying to prevent the knight from coming to d6. Isn't it amazing how logical chess is? You play a move to play a move. They play a move not to let you play that move. Beautiful. If only you could play like that. And me. Queen d2, bishop c5. Max goes for... Max, by the way, if you are wondering whether or not that is just an absolutely free pawn, you are wondering as much as I am. That absolutely looks like a free pawn. I guess something like this and the queen has difficulties here. Knight jumps out and puts some... I don't know. But yeah, it was never taken. In fact, Polina would rather attack it twice than take it at all. I don't know. So Max puts it on d6. Now, this is very much a bluff because white can absolutely take this, get pinned, knight to the queen, then take like this, and then play for f4 and e5. And Stockfish thinks that white is just winning. It's like... You gave me a pawn. I don't know what you're doing. But both players here are seemingly convinced that the pawn absolutely is untouchable, and now Max obviously defends it, and life is good. Here, Polina plays queen c1, I guess trying to make sure that the queen is not the one doing the attacking, and maybe build up like this, in the future kind of push for c5. Now Max rotates the knight back around to e7. We have knight takes on c5 and pawn takes on c5. So white gets the bishop pair. White should be happy. And now maybe white will just bring this knight back and create some play in the center, right? Knight c3. White's position absolutely fantastic. Okay, e5. When you play a move like e5, you better be damn sure that for the price that you're paying, which is giving up this beautiful square on d5, this corresponding center square is going to be very nice, right? So now what do both players do? They absolutely plop both knights down in front of each other and say, my horse is better than your horse. And while we are kind of talking about their equestrian interests, Max takes over the initiative in this game with a very simple pawn move, a5, followed by a4. And now White has a serious problem, because when White played the move g3, White made it very clear that they are going to play f4. That is what they are going to do. When Black played a5, he made it very clear he was going to play a4, and only in chess, only very rarely are both players correct. I mean, unless it's a draw. In this case, Max takes the knight in the center, so he gets rid of it, and now we have a tactical skirmish. Rather than taking back, and I guess just suffering with this kind of lousy pawn, Paulina takes the knight back, so now we got two hanging bishops. Now we have a desperado, because he doesn't take the bishop, because he's going to lose his bishop. So instead, he sacks his bishop, because when he takes the bishop, he's already going to be losing his bishop. That's what a desperado is. You staying with me? Now she takes the bishop that he gave away, and now he takes the bishop that he was going to take. Whew. Okay, tongue twister. And Black is and finally White succeeds in playing f4, but if you count the pawns, Black has 6, White has 5. That means that Black is winning. All right, so now we have 97. How is Black going to win this game? Okay, he's going to give the pawn back, but he is going to get a route to e3, and that is exactly what he does. By the way, look at that. Very nice pawn sacrifice, right? Now, the reason she didn't take like this is because after boom, 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 two connected pawns, White is dead. Black just advances them, White loses. So now the knight goes to e3, and Paulina just like, no chance. That knight is not going to survive. I have a bishop, I have a pawn, and I'm going to win this pawn, and life is going to be good, right? So she plays queen f3, queen d6, and Max chooses not to hang on to the pawn, because if he does, then this pawn goes up, and you don't want that bishop active. A protected bishop like this, it's in a class of its own. It's definitely not a 3-point bishop. It's a 4-point bishop. In the NBA, maybe they could instill a 4-point shot. That would be pretty crazy. That would only reward like 3 of the players, though. Trae Young, Steph, Dame. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Queen d6, queen e3. Okay, how is Black going to win this game? Someone show me. Rook e8, queen f2, rook e4. And at this point, Paulina, she employs a strategy which is only privy to folks who are title players and over 2,500. It's called the shuffle your king back and forth because you don't actually know what to do. I'm not joking. She actually played those moves. What's she going to do? I mean, what's she gonna do? She can't move her d-pawn. She doesn't want to move her bishop. She can't move her pawns. She doesn't move her queen. So, when in doubt, just now we have king g8. Max is playing a couple of improving moves in order not to repeat, and now both players make their 40th move right here. Okay, so both players have made more 40 moves, so now they get an extra time. Okay, how is Black going to win this game? Okay, Black is going to win this game. Actually, I have no idea how Black is going to win this game. He's going to get his queen involved. Well, he has to be very careful, because if he gets his queen involved, then you're just going to put... Wait a minute, I thought that's a whole thing we were trying to avoid. Okay, you give a check, king comes out to h3. King is completely safe behind the wall of pawns. Folks, are we going to make a draw? What's happening? Okay. Now, here there is a draw in hand, and it's rook d5. And rook d5 is threatening rook e5, which is a very nice move, winning material, winning the game. And also rook c5, just a nice move, rook d5. So, we have queen e8. And by the way, rook e5 is still a really good move. Takes, and if you take on e5 here and think that you're chilling, queen f7, king h8, probably just d7, right? Yeah, just d7, and if I try to come back and, I mean, nobody can do anything, and if anybody's playing this for a win, oh, wait a minute, there's probably also just queen e8. Ha! It's mate. Look at this. Check. It's just mate. I mean, you just g6, take, here, mate. Ouch. Wow. Okay, so it's a very dangerous position, actually, for Black with this d-pawn. Bishop and pass pawn, very nasty combination. But Paulina plays king g2. Okay, I mean, fine. Draw. Okay, Max is like, no draw. Now, Paulina can take with the rook, which is... It doesn't look like it's possible because rook takes d6, but then you have check, and you just win the rook. So... she can also take with the queen. She can also play rook e5. She takes with the queen. Rook c2 check. King out to h3. Wait a minute. What about this? Well, she must have thought that here she's fine. She's blocking everything. But queen e4. Uh-oh. Because her queen left the king. Tragic story. Rook left the king. Bishop left the king. Must have just been a terrible person to deal with. Queen to g2 is coming. and suddenly her whole army is stuck together in a weird Tetris piece. Her king gets hunted out to the H-file, and the game ends in beautiful fashion. Check. You cannot go here because rook h2, and king g5. You'd love to play f6, but you can't because you're pinned. So just move out of the way. And king to h7 ends the game, because f6 is basically mate. King h4, the game is over. White can't stop this. You just can't stop this. You cannot do anything. There's no checks. So crazy. So she was doing super well, and then she just brought her queen out, and then that was it. That was it. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Very exciting game, though. When in doubt, just move your king back and forth. Max obviously trying to kind of speed things up in his tournament. I think he's on 50% now, 3.5 out of 7. I hope that's right. But he's trying to gain some points as well. I figured I would show two players I haven't shown yet from the Challengers section. Next game I'd like to show you Jordan van Foreest, who's coming off a tough loss yesterday to Caruana. And Vidit. I mean, this man is leading the tournament. India, stand up behind your boy. This man is crushing it. And so is Arjun Edigaisi in the other section. So, Vidit against Jordan. Vidit goes for a Nimso. The best thing that you can play. Queen c2 castles. And here, white can play e4, which is the whole point of queen c2. But it leads to extremely forcing lines that are basically just forced draws. All of these guys know it. So instead, we have this, which is the give me your double... I mean, give me the bishop pair. I will have the two bishops. But I'm going to have my queen on c3, so I don't actually damage my pawn structure. That's kind of the whole point of the Nimso. Now we have d5, knight f3, dc, queen c4, b6. I mean, just very standard stuff. Black is going to develop the bishop, bring the knight, c5, yeah, white plays a bunch of normal moves. Now, here, white can play rook c1, attacking the c pawn. White can play rook d1, defending the d pawn, e3, bishop something. Jordan plays a move that doesn't look like it makes any sense. And I think it's only been played once, ever. And that move is knight e5. So the reason that the move knight e5 doesn't make any sense is because it doesn't do a damn thing. And you're neglecting your development. Why is this rook not getting in the game? Well, what's going to happen with this bishop? It's actually a very annoying move. Very annoying. Because, for example, let's say black plays knight d7, which is what you want to do. The knight is going to c6 potentially. That might be the entire idea. So you zig out of the way of the zag. And that's a problem, right? That's not what you want. So c5 right away, what if I just take it? I mean... There's going to be a pawn up. Okay, thanks, right? So it's actually a little bit of an annoying move. Vidit actually plays all the best moves. He plays queen out, and then he plays c5. But now here comes bishop f4, again playing a move with a piece that already moved, but trying to punish black. So Jordan loves to go for these lines where the opponent has to be super precise. It might not even be better for him. It might even be slightly worse, according to Stockfish. But Vidit is not Stockfish. His name is literally on the screen. Vidit Santosh Gujarati. I don't see a Stockfish in there, okay? So he's got to play like Stockfish. By the way, he plays Stockfish's best move. dc5, rook c8. He's still playing like Stockfish, by the way. But now look at this. Bishop e2. Let the pawn die. Move out of the way. And now black has to get out. Now here, computer gives rook d5 as the best move. And it only... I swear to you, it's repetition. Rook c5. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to play this as a human? By the way, Jordan might play rook d1. I mean, maybe there's no draw. Maybe he just plays rook d1 and the game goes on, right? It's very difficult. And knight d5, as natural as it looks, and the entire idea here by Vidit to just kick out these pieces and take over the initiative comes back to bite him because white takes over the game. But actually not. Knight d3 is the best move. Jordan doesn't play it. He plays knight c4. So either he forgot his prep or Vidit played something outside of the prep, which was bad, and Jordan didn't react the right way. Sometimes happens. Sometimes you don't check the move that's better for the opponent. You only check the moves that are equal. Does that make sense? You keeping up with me? But the threat is bishop d6, right? So here comes bishop a6. Now we have b3. Knight c6 attacks the queen. Queen goes back to b2. Very natural, right? So by the time that Jordan gets to castle, Vidit's position actually makes a lot of sense. Every piece is out and about doing some stuff. He takes on c4. He goes back to c7. We have 6 pawns each. I have the bishop pair. If I can break out my bishop pair and get rolling, I'm going to win this game. If you can take on c4, trade one of my bishops, and just be up a pawn, you have no problems, right? So queen b3. We have queen e6 going for c4. Now here comes my pawn break. Now Vidit must be very careful. He takes on f4, but that is unexpected. Dynamics in this position are saving white. The fact that he has so many open lines with rooks and bishops save the fact that he has 3 pawns. ACE. What is this? 42nd Street Times Square? One of the worst train stations in all of New York, by the way. Just worst places, period. Like anywhere in the world. Rook e8. And now here comes bishop back to f2. Here, I think Jordan also could have done this and just given this pawn away. Just it's such a liability, you might as well lose it and then go after the king. But I mean, okay, it's much easier to play with your pieces that you're spectating, not pieces that are actually yours, right? That's how the saying goes. So instead, he tries to keep his pawns together, but like I said a while ago, if white gets rolling in this game with all the open lines, white is going to be better, and he begins to remove the blockade that Vidit has built, and now he has a pass c-pawn. As okay as this position claims the position is, as okay as the position claims that the position is, that Stockfish claims that the position is, jeez, that was so bad. The position is torture to play. I mean, it's one thing when you sit at home like, ha, 0, 0, 0, what morons. It's not that simple because one guy is consolidating, gonna remove the bishop and get rolling. So in your mind, you're like, yo, what have I done? Right? So bishop d7, bishop f4, now g5. Vidit tries to push the bishop back. But in doing so, he's weakening his position. He's giving Jordan some targets, right? Queen e7, and look at this. I told you a long time ago, if these bishops get moving, this is gonna be a problem. Now we've built that blockade on the dark squares. Bishop comes back to f3, and your position falls apart because you have to move the knight, and then I'm gonna go bishop d5, and you can't defend f6. And of course, I mean, at this point, some time low, probably bishop d5. It looks like everything's okay, but it's not. White to play and win. Find the sequence that chops down the defense. Pause the video. Go, 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 go. Find it. Force sequence of moves. Checks, captures, attacks. Not always in that order. Good. You found it? Okay, very nice. Boom. Boom. Check. King g6. And it looks like everything's protected. It's an illusion. You take, and boink. I told you. Bishops and pass pawns. We just saw that in the Polina game. Were you paying attention? I sure hope you were. Yeah, very nice win for Jordan. It's the first loss that Vidit suffers. Tough game. I mean, you can be leading this tournament, and I mean, everyone is a monster. You know, everybody's capable of playing extremely well, and it's Vidit's first loss, but we'll see how he bounces back. True champions are made in the face of adversity or something like that. I don't know. I'm just a guy who has a camera and a large YouTube audience. I don't know. So we'll see how Vidit bounces back. Nice win for Jordan. And we keep it moving. Next game I'd like to show you, Jan Krzysztof Duda, superstar Polish Grandmaster versus Fabiano Caruana, superstar American Grandmaster who hung a rook last round, or something like that. And he's looking to bounce back. So hopefully he comes in angry, plays a good game, and hopefully Duda can use whatever aggression Fabiano will show against him. By the way, I'm in a suit. Isn't that wild? This is a nice outfit. It's a tailored suit, silk shirt. You don't know it's silk. For all you know, it's probably plastic. Knight f6 and a London. Duda is like one of the only 2750s that I've ever seen just play the London unashamed. You know, he played it against Rapport. It's like when he doesn't want to go into his opponent's prep, he just plays the London. What a savage. So g6, that's a confrontational move. That's a move that's like, okay, you can play your stupid London, but I'm gonna play kind of reverse Grunfeld style with kingside fianchetto and this. Very risky. Very risky. It's a way you play to lose and win. You don't play to draw like this. So we have c3, standard stuff. If you're wondering why he's not taking, black will oftentimes just get the center and win this pawn back. It's very hard to protect this pawn. For example, knight d7, let's say you play for b4, a5, you know, let's say you play for a3, you're like, yay, I'm defending everything. Well, here comes the bishop, I mean, from over here. And I don't even have to take, per se. For example, a3, I can play knight e4 straight away. And if you move your rook, knight c3, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing, right? So c3, and at this point, when black has already committed his king this way and has removed the defender, what do you play? Come on, you got to do it. And Fabiano kind of made it a little easy here. He even traded off his bishop, so he has no bishop, no knight protecting his king. So you got to go h5, right? So Vidit, like any Duda, like any normal person, plays h5. But now the question is, where's your attack? Well, if you left alpha 0 here, alpha 0 would unquestionably play h6, and then the game plan would be, I'll figure it out. h6 and I'll figure it out. You know, that pawn's always good. The computer loves it. Instead of that, we have queen a4. So he pressures the queen side, and Fabiano just sort of finishes his development. Knight goes to f1. Obviously, the point is to go here, rerouting the knight. It's not really doing a whole lot there. And he didn't put the knight on the traditional square of f3 because that's not where you want it. You much rather have it here, where it pressures the bishop and the pawn and not in the way of these pawns in case they kind of get moving. So knight f1, g5. g5 is a wild move. Yeah, Vidit gets h6 on the board. And why do I keep saying Vidit? Oh my god, is it because they both have D's in their name? Crazy. I don't know what... I've never done that. I've never just set a different person's name throughout a video. Whatever, I'm in a suit. Doesn't matter. Queen b3. Pressuring the center. e6, blocking in the light squared bishop. White is better. No, I'm just kidding. Duda's better. He's got a much better position. The pawn on h6 is beautiful. He's split these pawns. But how do you win a game of chess where you're better? You can't just pause. Rook d1. That move kind of surprised me. Because his king's going to be in the middle, right? So rook c8. He must have not liked that black can actually attack on the queen side. So black just plays f5. Black takes some space. Within 2 moves, the advantage is completely back to normal and actually trending in black's favor. So what does the computer say here when it says +1? Long castle, actually. It really likes long castle. Maybe it needs to think a little bit more. But it also likes some, like, what is this? Oh, no human being here in history will play a4. Like, no one. You know what the idea of a4 is? Trade the queen. Trade the queen. Play that endgame with a weak pawn. I think if you gave Magnus like 10 minutes, he might play a4, queen a3. But that's because he's Magnus. What the is a4, queen a3? By the way, you're not playing queen a3 right away because this is positional suicide. So rook d1 is what he plays, and he tries to continue to attack. It's crazy that in a position with such an advanced h-pawn, and you've been thinking attack, 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 it's actually not attack at all. See, Duda's trying to attack. He's trying to, like, be aggressive somewhere, but it's not working because, and he's trying to set up attacks on the king. Look at Fabi just reroutes the knight to the other side of the board, plays queen back to e7 to make sure the king's always protected, and Fabiano's just restructuring. Notice, Fabi took some space, brought the knight here, got the queen out of the way, put the bishop, right? He's, you know, he's gonna move the queen ever so slightly to f6, making sure everything's nice and solid, and now he brings the knight back around because maybe he wants to take, he wants to put the center, maybe queen g6, I don't know, maybe knight g8, maybe knight g8, knight h6, you left the pawn to die, silly, right? But Duda's kind of the antsy one. He's kind of like the, I'm trying to attack, but I don't. And the thing is, when you overextend, you're now a little bit overextended on 2 sides, things fall apart. He comes knight c2, and here comes f4, and now it's minus 2.5. Now black is completely winning. Because Fabiano understood the position, understood what he should and shouldn't do, what he should and shouldn't risk. And the second that white kind of put all his pieces scattered, here comes f4, takes. Now the king's got to walk. Walk of shame with the king. King d1, bishop e8, kicks the rook out. Look at this bishop transfer. Oh, beautiful game by Fabi. Transfers the bishop from back behind the pawn. Knight e1, bishop f5, kicks the rook out. Now it's time to take the initiative. b5. Now the pawn on c4 is hit and knight d5 is coming. While the center is... What is this? Like, I mean, c5, here comes the knight. Here comes b4, levering to c3. Beautiful game. I mean, just absolutely beautiful game. a5. Fabiano just has to protect his rooks from getting captured and everything's going to be okay. King c1, the king keeps... It's very not nice. It's not even the best move. I mean, knight c3 is so human. Yeah, computer was like, what the... Shut up. You know nothing. You don't know anything about chess. All right. I mean, look at Fabi. He's just playing everything great. 0-0-0, by the way. 0-0-0. Yeah. Computer thinks that actually black is messing up the game. I mean, it looks like every move he's made has been smart, so I'm just going to keep rolling. See, if computers didn't exist, you'd be like, wow, Fabi, like, beautiful defense, transition into attack. Instead, apparently, the computer's trying to claim that here, white should still play a4. Like, this, what even is that? Why? What, because he's going to take en passant and lose his knight? I mean, Jesus. Right? Duda's still trying to play, like, the best of his ability. You know what a4, you know why you have to play a4? Because of this move. a4 prevents the knight coming back to b5, leaving your territory to hit your center pawn. And Duda doesn't play it, and I wonder if Duda thought that he was much worse here. I'm not even sure he realized that, you know, he should play a4 to stop this knight b5. I mean, because sometimes when you suffer for so long, and now it all falls apart, right? When you suffer for so long, very difficult to kind of change your mindset. And now there's one final move that black has to play. You can't play this because knight f7, so you play king g8. There's no check. You're going to lose this pawn. And yeah, once you either lose that pawn or just make sure you never get mated and attack your opponent, you're going to win the game. So he plays f3. He's obviously not getting any mate. Very close, by the way, but the queen covers that square, so that doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, Fabiano swarms, and, you know, maybe Duda could have even put up a little bit more defense with the rook and the knight. But like I said, it's just such an unpleasant game. It's going downhill for so long. You're like, to hell with this. Let me just go eat some pizza. I actually have a mushroom slice and a peppers and onion slice right here. Put some garlic on it, some chili flakes. Letting you into my life of how I'm spending my Saturday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes, those of you with the patience, you've watched 25 minutes. It's time for your Magnus Carlsen daily recap. And for those of you that click this timestamp, because I put Magnus on every single thumbnail and usually in the titles because the YouTube algorithm is very friendly to Magnus Carlsen, welcome to the skipped portion of the video. Magnus playing against Pragnananda Ramesh Babu, who chess.com just cuts off his name because it's so long. Let's see what the kid is going to bring to the table. He's 16 years old, playing in his first Masters at Tata Steel. And Magnus doesn't develop a knight. Takes on c4 right away. It's like a weird expedited Queen's Gambit accepted. e4 here is what I like to play. I was very curious to see what Magnus would play here. Maybe he would go for b5, try to, you know, hang on to this pawn or something. But Pragg played he just played very calm. e3, took back, and this is a Queen's Gambit accepted transposition. Except the move b3 has been played by Magnus before, and this position was reached in the game Magnus Carlsen with white versus Vladislav Artemyev in one of those online events. And in that game, Magnus played the move bishop to a3. And in this game, Pragg played the move bishop to a3. It's almost like the epic Harry Potter scene. You dare use my spells against me, Potter? It was a very terrible Snape, but nobody can do a Snape. Like, let's be honest. So, I know it was a bad Snape, but what an epic. You know, you ever, like, get nostalgic and just spend time on YouTube watching old movie scenes, just clips of a movie? By the end of it, you've watched, like, 40% of the epic scenes of that movie? Yeah, sometimes I do that. Anyway, knight d7, and that move has never been... No, this position has occurred a few times, and now d5. And actually, this is very funny. White just plants this bishop here. The reason you can give away the bishop pair in this position is because you have a swarm on your opponent. So, for example, rook to b8, you can bring the bishop back, and because your opponent negated their own development, they just have a crap position. For example, the move knight to f6 is met with... I was going to say queen e5, but then there's bishop e6, and you can't actually take this. Probably just takes, and... Rook d1, knight e5, even bishop f6, you know, to damage the structure isn't the worst move in the world. So, yeah, Magnus has a very unpleasant position, actually. So he's going to have to find a way to get out. Knight c3. Yeah, he's just like, yo, dude, take it. I don't care. You can have my bishop. You need to get castled, right? If Magnus plays like this, he's going to have a bad position. Magnus decides to expand on the queen side with his pawns. Now here, the million-dollar question. Which rook to which square? In general, you need to think how to move one rook without intruding on the other. So, since these are the only two open files, you would think rook fd1, rook ac1, right? Because this, what are you doing here? That's blocked. And if you play rook fc1, you should just be imprisoned, probably. Like, I mean, I don't even know. No, you should be imprisoned if you played this move. Yeah, for that you shouldn't be imprisoned. You should be beaten, like in public. You know, they should just like beat you with some blunt object in public. Don't even put you in jail. Rook d1, obviously, you have to play this move because rook ac1 is coming as well. Magnus plays queen c7, and now Pragg has to, you know, he's got to look at this good stuff going on this side of the board. Bishop, queen, bishop. He's got to play knight g5. Knight g5 is a very aggressive move. You have very bad intentions. For example, h6. Maybe you can even take something on f7. Maybe you can rotate back. You know, take on, you know, go to e4. I mean, a position like this would be a godsend for white, just completely winning, but you have to focus on that side of the board, it seems like, you know, something like this. Violent attack. If knight d5, queen h7, it's mate, you know, something crazy like this. But Pragg plays on the wrong side of the damn board. I mean, a4 is fine. a4 is fine. But after h6... You know, Magnus is really asking for it, like to open up the B file, you know, the A file for the rook. He's really asking for it. Now, again, Pragg has to go, but Pragg, he's not interested in the attack anymore. He wants to target the weakness. Okay, fine. Queen B6 defends the weakness. Okay, fine. But now it's very unclear how to improve forward. And as a human, we're very, like we just saw in the Duda game, you just kind of sit there like, I don't know what to do. How do I improve my position? So, okay, we go for e4, right? We want to play e5. Magnus plays the best move here. I mean, it's just the world champion move. Rook e8. Like, it just doesn't look like it does anything. But the point is he's ready to meet e5 with bishop f8 or bishop d8, and the rook just activates and has a target. So by advancing in my position, I've now given black a target. I've given black hope, something to play for, right? So Pragg goes queen d2. It's very difficult against an extremely good player to make that lunge into their position. Robert Whitaker, Israel Adesanya. My MMA fans, you lunge in, counterpunch, right? With Magnus, he's a good puncher, counterpuncher. He'll take over the initiative in a heartbeat. Just in this position already, it's minus 0.4. Can you imagine? Minus 0.4. How? From a pawn and a queen move? Yeah. Apparently, the computer thinks that white's coordination has already been messed up, and black is ready at some moment to play b4. But it looks like Pragg played a bunch of good moves. And now Pragg plays queen f4. And here comes b4. And when you're feeling uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, but when you feel like you need to do something in a position, you're going to force stuff. So knight a4, knight takes d5, both queens hit. Now we have rook takes d5, queen slides over to e6, right? So now we have knight takes c5, a move that doesn't look possible, by the way. Because if you take with a knight, boom, right? Bishop b7, rook d8. My rook is used as my shield. And if you play knight takes c5 and then there's bishop takes c5, well, we already see the knight is, right? It has to be protecting something like this. The game goes on, obviously. Knight c5, queen b8, queen b3. The game goes on. You have to find some accurate moves. But Pragg did have a way there to maybe relieve some pressure. But he plays another move, just sort of improving the position. And Magnus here targets the knight, because the knight can't move anymore. Because the rook is also out of the way of the queen, which was the entire idea. And Pragg realizes that bad things are coming because Magnus is about to play this move. He's going to use his queenside majority. That's how good he is. He snuffed out the attack before it could happen. He has a 2-on-1. That's all this man needs. This knight now has nothing. It cannot tactically relieve itself, right? Because queen is no longer hitting this. So Pragg gives away e4, and whenever c5, c4 appears on the board, the game is going to be over. So Magnus just kind of slowly improves his position, prepares everything, gets the queen out of the way. And I told you a while ago, folks, when this move comes, it's going to be a problem. c4. Now, he actually did allow some stuff. The best move here is bishop b7. You see what Pragg has done? He's lined up a bunch of pieces to go over here, because again, that's what you do. That's a human thing to do. Attack. We like attacking, right? So apparently after c4, it's not the end of the story. And if Pragg was playing me, and I just got to this position against him, which, by the way, would be a monumental accomplishment, I can almost guarantee that Pragg would play this move. And the game is not over. The game is not over. Anything but over. Bishop takes g7, obviously. This. g7, rook d6. Queen d4 is a fork. By the way, the only reason you wouldn't play queen d4 immediately is because I come in like this. But rook d6, now that is a problem. Only move, queen h6, king g8. I mean, we have something, maybe rook d4. I don't know. Maybe. Knight b6, deflect the knight away first. I don't know, maybe. Rook d4 this way. We're a move away from mating Magnus Carlsen. It's probably not going to work. So instead of going all out, which can sometimes be difficult to do, and sometimes you fall totally flat on your face if you try, Pragg plays queen d4, but Magnus just consolidates. And now the rook is hanging. The pawn is going to go to c3. Once it lands there, the game is lost. Right? So Pragg plays knight b6. And here comes c3. Now that door is closed. We have knight c8. He takes the rook. There's some tactical things to calculate here. Obviously, a lot of different stuff can take. But at the end of the day, when the dust settles, for example, you can't even take this rook because this. If you play knight takes a7 here, I could probably just take on f5 or do something like that. I don't know. I'm winning in a lot of different ways. So the dust settles. And when the capturing stops, rook e2, knight c3 is coming, and Pragg resigned. So, an interesting opening. Pragg uses what Magnus used himself a while ago, and, Magnus went full Snape, shrugged it off, and there was a couple moments here that Pragg could have just jumped on him, and I have a feeling that if it was anybody but Magnus, Pragg might do it. It's tough, though. It's tough. I don't know. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but I always cheer for the young guys, the 16, 17, 18-year-olds. I cheer for them to have iron nerves of absolute steel. I just used two different metal medals. I don't know, but yeah, I always cheer for them to have nerves of steel and just bring the fight to these guys. But build experience. At the end of 7 rounds of Tata Steel, Magnus Carlsen is back on in first place. Shocking, completely on his own with 5 out of 7. And now we also have one forfeit, and we have a cool drama story. So, folks, hope you enjoyed the recap. I'm going to go take my suit off, and I'm going to go eat some pizza. You all have a great rest of your weekend. Get out of here.